Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome United States Senator Ed Markey.
Ladies and gentlemen, last year, you entrusted me with the greatest honor of my life to be your United States Senator. Tonight, I humbly accept your nomination to continue serving the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. To all of the activists, the volunteers, the door knockers, the phone bankers, and the elected officials here this evening, thank you so much for everything you have done and everything you will do to keep the Bay State blue. And thank you to my incredible partner in the United States Senate, Elizabeth Warren, for tirelessly fighting for Massachusetts middle class. She is a real hero to all of us and to America. And to Governor Deval Patrick for his inspirational leadership in our state. A great governor for a great state. Thank you, Deval, for everything that you have done. 11 months ago, this son of a milkman, the first in his family to go to college, was sworn in as a United States Senator, proving that the American dream does come true. But for many in our country, the American dream and the things that matter so much in life are beyond reach today. While many people in our country have been trying to climb the ladder of success, no matter how hard they work, they are stuck in the same place. In America today, nearly half of those who grow up in families in the bottom 1/5 of income earners will stay there through their adult life. And consider this, closing the wage gap between men and women would cut the poverty rate in half for working women and their families and add nearly $1/2 trillion to the national economy. Income disparity in our country is unacceptable, it is immoral, and it needs to change. That is why I have worked every single day to make the American dream a possibility for all people, so that everyone can lift their gaze to the constellation of possibilities for their lives, for their families, and for our country. I am reminded of Dr. Martin Luther King's belief that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And for each of us, that means caring for the vulnerable and creating the programs that help those most in need. We have achieved many victories to improve the lives of the most vulnerable in our society. Medicaid, Medicare, Head Start, the Affordable Care Act, and now we need a new era that takes a great society and makes it a greater society. A new era that creates an even more compassionate and caring Commonwealth and country. Over the past year, as your senator, I crisscrossed Massachusetts. I met with mayors and moms, veterans and firefighters, small business owners and students, and I heard their stories. When the owners of Haddad's restaurant in Marshfield told me that skyrocketing flood insurance would drown them and their neighbors in debt long before the ocean arrived, I fought for legislation to lower their rates, and that legislation is now law. When Gloucester fishermen told me about their perfect storm of economic and environmental problems, I fought for disaster relief to keep those families and communities afloat. We got them the help they needed. When a Pittsfield family told me that they felt disconnected from the rest of the state when Time Warner disconnected their New England cable news. I fought the company to put New England cable news on the air, and they did. When the sounds of nightly shootings ripped through Boston's neighborhoods, I went to Roxbury and introduced tough gun control legislation. When I met with families and first responders in Holyoke and Taunton and heard about the surge in heroin drug overdoses, I introduced legislation to get our first responders the tools they needed to save lives. And as we sat there talking in the Taunton fire station, the alarm rang. There was another overdose on Oak Street. When I fight for Massachusetts, when I fight for what's right, I make my fair share of enemies. My gun control legislation put me back at the top of the NRA's political target list. My clean energy jobs bill and climate change push means that big oil and King Coal see me as an enemy of their science-denying, money-making machine. The Tea Party knows that I am a big obstacle to Republicans taking back the United States Senate. Elizabeth Warren and I are committed to that. But I take on these big issues because I know these are the fights that you would fight if you were there in Washington with us. And together, there is so much more work we have to do. When after Sandy Hook Elementary School, our country still has endured 74 more school shootings, we have more work to do. We need a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and pass my gun control legislation. We need to make the NRA stand for not relevant anymore in American politics. We have more work to do. When 200,000 people in Massachusetts and 10 million Americans are still unemployed, we have more work to do. We need to put union workers back to work rebuilding our roads and our bridges, creating jobs to construct the 21st century backbone of a new, clean energy and innovation economy. When global warming could put Fenway Park underwater and return Back Bay to the Bay, we have more work to do. We need to protect all of creation by engaging in massive, clean energy job creation. When women earn 77 cents for every dollar that men make, we have more work to do. We need to pass pay equity for women legislation, raise the minimum wage, give paid sick leave to all workers in our country. We have more work to do. When big oil supersized profits can still buy an election, we have more work to do. We need a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission and stop this tsunami of secret money from polluting our democracy. We have more work to do. Right now, we are in an epic battle for our democracy. The work we do today will create the better future we know is possible. We are not any state. We are Massachusetts. Massachusetts doesn't get to sit on the sidelines as the Senate and our state hangs in the balance. That is not who we are. When the injustice of slavery needed to end, the people of Massachusetts rose up and created the abolitionist movement. That is who we are. When women were denied the right to vote, the people of Massachusetts rose up in the suffragette movement and changed the laws. That's who we are. And when people were denied the right to marry the person they loved, the people of Massachusetts rose up and Massachusetts became the first state to legalize gay marriage. I was one of only 67 of 435 members to vote no on the Defense of Marriage Act in 1996. That's who we are. When America needed a health care plan for all Americans, they used the Massachusetts plan. That's who we are. When 2 weeks ago, President Obama needed a plan to control carbon pollution from utilities, he used the Massachusetts plan. That's who we are. And when cowardice visited the marathon finish line, Massachusetts rose up as a community to take those shattered shards and patch together a new, stronger future for our state. That's who we are. That's who you are. That is what we represent. For democracy to succeed, it needs courageous people. For all these issues, Massachusetts has always provided those courageous people. We're not just the Bay State, we are the brave state. And now we need to rise up and be the new 21st century defenders of democracy. Will you fight against the NRA and keep our kids safe from violence? Will you fight against the special interests that buy elections and sell out the middle class? Will you fight against the corporations who attack workers' rights? Will you fight for an immigration bill that helps a new era of Americans to achieve their dreams? Will you fight for every child, regardless of race or income, to be able to get a first-class education and afford to go to college? Will you fight for a clean energy future that creates jobs and stops the devastation of climate change? This is the time. This is the place. You are the people, guided by the principles and the values of our Democratic Party: justice and tolerance, liberty and equality. Let us work together to create a future that is more fair, more healthy, more prosperous, more peaceful for our Commonwealth, for our country, for our world. God bless you. God bless the Commonwealth. God bless the United States of America. Thank you all for your support to give me the honor of being your United States Senator. Thank you.